Hello there my fellow Holotable heroes and welcome to another roster review. So let's give a shout out to today's Holotable hero Rui Vusen, and also shout out to their guild OG Feast of the Empire. I think that's my third roster review from this guild, so looks like it's going to be soon my favorite guild. It seems like if I do get more roster reviews from them, so huge shout out to them as well. They are in Chromium 3, so let's check out the roster to see how they're doing. So they've got just over 6 mil GP in there. They got 3 Galactic Legends. So actually quite a nice roster for this size, like 3 GLs. Let's look at the ships as well, see how they're doing there. They got Executor at least, but yeah, definitely ships need a bit more work going forward. And then in terms of what they're working on, they said they're currently working on Jedi Master Luke and Inquisitors, and their brief was short, so they just said they would like a review of the roster because they just returned from a 1.5 year break and they feel a bit lost on what to prioritize. So we'll be focusing, I guess, you know, after they finish up the Jedi Master Luke farm, where to go next. So obviously you can go multiple ways there, really, because as you can see, they got Jabba. They will now complete Jedi Master Luke soon. I think they're just like a couple of requirements away. Obviously, next logical step, kind of in one way you could say, is Leia, you know, to complete the Skywalker Triangle, because the requirements quite overlap. But obviously, they are still missing a lot of those key units farmed up, geared up. So instead of just, you know, I would say instead of just going straight for Leia after they finish up Luke, maybe just fill up some of the rest of the teams, because, you know, to get Leia, they still need to maybe, like, you know, relic up, I don't know, 10 units or whatever, farm them up, gear them up, and that will just give you one good team to use. Whereas if we use those resources for those 10 units for Leia and spread them across roster, then maybe instead we'll be getting 3 new teams to use instead of 1, and as well obviously start working on Profundity. So there's nothing wrong but just jumping on the Leia farm straight after you do this. But personally, I just think, like, you know, just a little bit to round up your roster, just to, you know, instead of you know, focusing just on GLs, because, you know, that will give you just one team to use in Grand Arena. Maybe just a little bit to round up your roster, just fill up the rest of the teams before you jump onto the Leia farm up next. I had a look at their mods. For the most part, their modding is in good place. So I just had a quick look at some of the key units. Obviously, some mods need a little bit slicing and rolling, but they're all in a good place. Maybe there's just a couple of units I'll mention in today's video that maybe they may consider remodding a bit if they would like. So let's actually look at the ships first. As mentioned before, they've got Executor, which is good. So we'll be working on Profundity next, I think, because they've got all the Rebel ships farmed up already. Now just a case of obviously farming up the characters as well. And, you know, at 6 mil GP, probably you want to add another ship in there as well. Also, not an immediate priority, but I would definitely put Marauder as well at some point later down the line on the farm list, just because obviously just pushes Negotiator almost to that like GL status sort of thing. Unfortunately, with that also comes farming the pilots from the Bad Batch, so as well, that's why we will push this further down the line. But just something I wanted to put it on their radar in case they will have some capacity while they'll be going through the plan that we'll outline at the end of the video. They may have some, you know, spots available. They can fill them up with Marauder and Bad Batch. So yeah, that's oh, and of course, because they have Executor, we will also farm up. We'll also want to farm up Punishing 1 to 7 stars as well, a little bit further down the line after we are done, I think, with Profundity requirements. So pretty straightforward ships, you know, we need to work on Profundity. It's not just, you know, because like GLs, you unlock them, you have them at 7 star, you're done. Whereas with ships, you unlock them at 4 stars, and it takes another 2 years or so, right, to get them to 7 stars. So better get these GL ships prioritized over the actual GLs, just because, you know, it takes a while to farm them up. That's why I always like to get these done earlier. So while slowly farming up to 7 stars, then you can work on the real GLs, I guess. Okay, let's go for the factions, and again, we'll just highlight the ones where we have something to talk about. I'm not gonna go through everything. 501st, they've got John Skywalker, great. 5s, Rex, brilliant. At some point, we will want to round up the gas squad as well here with 501st, because remember, they're in Chromium 3, so gas can still be a very powerful team that low. And in terms of even, you know, countering Galactic Legends, some of the weaker raid teams you can take on in Grand Arena and Territory Wars. Obviously, if, you know, you play it correctly, they can clean up Jedi Master Kenobis and things like that. So, you know, John Skywalker, let's as well, you know, finish off the remaining clones and you should be good to go. As mentioned before, Bad Batch in a bad state, but just something you maybe want to keep out on the back of your mind if you do have a spot sometimes to farm and gear, something to work on as well. They've got bounty hunters, most of them I guess from their Jabba farm, which is great, and executor. But like the 501st, you know, they're just Grief and Mando away from their bounty hunters actually being useful in Territory Wars, in Grand Arena. They've got Fennec, which is great, but in terms of modding, I'm just gonna say this, maybe just put offense cross on here, offense triangle on here, offense arrow on here, right? Because at Relic 7, she can actually counter Lord Vader. I don't know if you're facing Lord Vader in Grand Arena, but sooner or later you will. So by pushing up Grief, Mando to Relics, and then Fennec as well, remote her for, you know, all the offense primaries, you will be able to actually take down Lord Vaders, especially like in Chromium. There won't be like, you know, amazing Lord Vader teams. You should be able to knock them out as well just by using Fennec bounty hunters. They also do have best Commander because of Executors, so they've got everything. Probably Zam is one of those teams, one of these units that will help your bounty hunters as well, but the reason why I did not include her in the plan is just because I feel like there are other priorities. And you know, for countering Lord Vader you don't really need Zam, and for everything else Zam is a nice to have, but again, usefulness of her and her Omicron diminishes the higher you go in Grand Arena, so for a longevity purpose I did not include her, but she's like the Bad Batch. If you do have, you know, a little bit of downtime at some point, it's again one of those characters you can have kind of on the back of your mind to go for. Yeah, because they've got aura as well, so they can go either aura or boss lead depending on who they're trying to take down. From the Empire, we will obviously want to work on Mara to unlock Starkiller. Galactic Republic, anything I have in there? Just going through my notes. Nope. It's all good. Imperial Troopers. So for Troopers, they've got Piet obviously from the Executor farm, but at some point we may want to complete your Imperial Trooper squad, right? Because they can do a lot of stuff. They've got Veers already gear 12, so I guess just finish up Veers, Dark Trooper, Range Trooper, Stark, and then as well Death Trooper. Because sometimes depending on what you're trying to do, you will need these 6 troopers to give you flexibility on what you can do. Especially Death Trooper with his death mark can be very, very useful as well, you know, for the assault battle and other things. And then Inquisitors, as we can see, they unlocked the Grand Inquisitor. Congratulations, that event is an absolute pita. So yeah, definitely congratulations there. Obviously just slowly work up your Grand Inquisitor there, which is nice. And then in terms of Jedi, so in terms of modding, I see they do have Jedi Luke modded for offense, which is good. Obviously you can slice those mods, but before you do, I'm going to ask you, are you using Jedi Luke in the leading slot? If you are, then slow Luke is the way to go. If you're not using Jedi Luke in the leading slot, then you will want to have some speed on him, like try to get him close to 200 speed so he's actually taking turns. Just something to bear in mind when you're modding Jedi Luke. In terms of farming, we will want to work on Kyle somewhere. Where is he? Can't see Kyle. There he is. We'll obviously want to work on Kyle as well for the Starkiller unlock. Oh nice, they got Omicron on Padawan Obi-Wan, cool. I bet that makes your conquest runs a bit easier. They also got the Omicron on Qui-Gon Jinn, you know, that's fine, like even low gear Qui-Gon, his Omicron will work. The main thing is that your Anakin is relicked up, right, because he's the one with the big nuke. Even like a low gear Ki-Adi-Mundi, that's fine, he's there just for the bonuses. So looks like, you know, they've got a good idea of how to manage their roster. Let's go ahead. Yeah, we covered the Jedi Night Sisters. Now this is not something we will worry about immediately. It's just something, again, further down the line you will want to get a Night Sister team up and running for their assault battle, and as well they can be very good because they don't have a full Night Sister squad yet. I would just, once we do start working on Night Sisters, get Great Mothers, Morgan up and running, right? Instead of trying to build like a Sash Talzin lineup, because they are just simply better squad to use. What else we got here? Rebels. So yeah, in terms of GML farm, they only need to relic up Biggs and Leia, and then they are more or less good to go. So very close to Luke, very nice. And then let's have a look what else. Rogue One, yeah. We'll have to work obviously on Admiral Radis, Piston, Jean and Cassian to unlock Profundity. Speaking of unlocking Profundity, and Starkiller for that matter, we will want to work on Dash. So at least Dash, there's an overlap, right, between Starkiller and Profundity. So something obviously I will advise you to work sooner rather than later. And then finally the faction that needs lots of rounding up and it will give you a lot of benefit across the board is your Sith faction. You've got your Malak unlocked, which is nice. Obviously that's always a grind getting Malak and General Skywalker to 7 stars because, you know, you unlock them at 5 stars only. So yeah, we'll just have to finish off Revan, Basti, and then work on your Traya squad just to give you another really good team. Traya, Nihilus, and Savage is the core. Scion, not that useful, because obviously you will also have talent for Starkiller farm, so then, you know, you could even 4-man in Grand Arena. But again, Scion, like Bad Batch, like Zam, it's just something to really have on the back of your mind. If you do have some extra resources to throw, you know, towards Scion's way, that's fine. If not, I wouldn't worry too much about it, at least for now. So that's all kind of going through the factions, what we want to work on. So how does that look like on the plan in terms of priority? So they're very close to Jedi Master Luke. They just need to get Biggs and Leia to Gear 13, finish off relicking Mothma and Lando, and then as well finishing relicking up Biggs and Princess Leia. So probably in about month's time or so, they will have Jedi Master Luke unlocked. So very close there. And so what do we now prioritize? Like I said, there's nothing wrong just to immediately jump on Leia farm, would be nothing wrong with that. But personally, I would first round up just to increase the amount of viable squads you do have, especially as you start climbing ladder. You need to have more teams, right, for Grand Arena and also other things. So what I would first prioritize is start farming up your Profundity units. So the ones you don't have at 7 stars, Radis, Dash, and Bistan, and then we'll start farming up Starkiller requirements, right? Like Mara, Talon. We'll farm up Dash already for Profundity and Kyle. Something I forgot to mention, so let's go back into the game. Resistance. They've got all the resistance. They even got Omicron on Zori, so just farm her up, gear her up as well, just to complete your Finn squad. You know, it'll do nicely. Like even Finn, Zori, even if you use them on offense, they can counter a lot of stuff, especially, you know, where you're at in the Grand Arena divisions. Hop back to the plan. That's why I just finish up Zori as well between like Profundity and, you know, Starkiller farms. Then yeah, we'll be farming up Death Trooper. That's not 7 stars yet. And then obviously, as mentioned, we need to work on Savage to complete your Traya squad, which again can do a lot of damage in Grand Arena, Territory Wars, help you two-shotting Lord Vader's Jabba's even, so very useful team to have. And then let's just finish up as well the Punishing One to complete your Executor squad, and then we can slowly start farming, already preparing for the Leia push. So we need to start farm up Nisa, Scout Trooper, Lobot, and Drogon to 7 stars. So, you know, that's kind of the farming priorities. Again, Profundity, Starkiller, and then squeeze in Zori in between, Punishing One, and then you can hop onto the Leia farm. That would be, I guess, my suggestion how to prioritize your farm. And then in terms of gearing, it just kind of a little bit follows the farming plan, right? We first get geared up, obviously, your Grand Inquisitor, you're already doing that. Then we will gear up all the Profundity requirements. star killer requirements, and then while we are farming up the rest of the units to 7 stars before you unlock Profanity Star Killer, we can fill up your Civ squad, right, by doing Basti, Revan, Treya, Nihilus, push them in there, and then as well after that we'll get Savage up and running, right? So you will also have a good team there. And then here we can start, now that we kind of finished gearing up our main farms. We can complete your Bounty Hunter squad, complete your 501st squad. If you can squeeze in completing your, other squads as well that we mentioned, like maybe Zam or Bad Batch, you can. Otherwise, after this point where the plan ends, this is where you want to start probably pushing slowly and jumping onto the Leia farm. And then in terms of the rally queue, just kind of, I guess, follows the gearing queue. So we don't really have to cover that. So in terms of milestones, we'll be unlocking Jedi Master Luke, as they're already finishing up the farm very quickly. It'll take a while now to hit our next milestones, which is unlocking Profanity, getting Treya Omicron team up and running. Then we'll be unlocking Starkiller shortly after that. Again, we'll require some Omicrons, and then here as well Savage Omicron as well. Probably where you're at, Savage Omicron is like a solo beast. He can solo a lot of stuff. He's like almost like Wampa in that regard. Oh, speaking of Wampa, how's their Wampa looking like? They've got a Wampa. Good. See, the reason why I kind of never talk about Wampa, because I just go through factions, but Wampa doesn't belong to any factions, so that's why he often gets left out. So they've got Wampa, which is good. And then also, as mentioned before, we'll be filling up some of the other squads like Bounty Hunters here as well, 501st, Zori Resistance as well. So this is, I guess, overall how I would suggest that they approach their farming plan. But again, if you just want to jump straight into Leia, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if you want to do. But personally, I would instead of just putting all my resources for the next half a year or so just into Leia, spend the first half year or so building out the rest of your team. It'll give you more teams to use, which means more fun in the game, I think. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, have fun, enjoy your life, and may the RNG be with you, my friends.